What's up, friends? It is Sunday, June the 10th, I believe. And it's time for another update on the great stem cell adventure. I decided this time to kind of take you with me while I do a little bit of my rehab, training, exercise, work, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, just for a little change of pace and just to keep it real and just see, just let you guys kind of see what I try to do to get myself stronger. Keeping it really real, as a matter of fact, because I'm pretty sure that in the clips you're about to watch, I have a booger in my nose. Either that, or I'm just turning into an old goat and I have gray hairs in my nostrils. Hopefully, it's that. But either way, what are you gonna do, right? It is what it is. Not going to go back out there and do it all over again just because of a silly little thing hanging out of my nostrils. So, anyway, check it out. Okay, so here I am sitting out in front of Casa de Patterson at El Rancho Patterson. And I hope this will work. It's pretty breezy this afternoon, although for eastern New Mexico, this is a pretty light breeze. It's, I don't know, probably a 15-mile-an-hour wind today, which makes it a calm day on our scale. So anyway, I'm just sitting here in the shade. It's a pretty nice afternoon, only about I don't know, maybe 85 or 90, and the breeze is fairly cool. We had a nice rain last night, so it's a little bit humid. But anyway, it's about as nice an afternoon for me to take a ride as possible. So let me show you a little bit of what's going on here. If I can, let's see, can I flip the camera around while I'm actually recording? Doesn't look like I can, so these will have to be separate little segments. No big deal. Alright, so here's what's going on. Oh, my lanyard is flapping in front of the lens. This is my three-wheeled mountain bike. This thing is pretty trick. It's made by a company called TerraTrike. I've been using this thing for 5 or 6 years now. It's been really good. It gets, it's a way for me to be able to get out, get some good leg exercise, about as hard as I want or can stand. And I've improved the thing a little bit at a time as I have found need for it. Like, for example, I put these new shifters on that I was talking about in my last update so that I would be able to do better in the 5K that I did last weekend. I can actually shift now, so that's good. It's a little goofy though how we had to put the shifters on the outside ends of the handlebars because there wasn't enough room given the way the handlebars are designed. But I'm gonna try and fix that by putting some bar extensions on the inboard end there. And there you can see all the bird shit that I'm gonna have to sit in. That's not a big deal. Nothing that a soldier can't get through. The thing also has 24-inch wheels now. It came with 20-inch wheels, and those are now on this thing right here, this three-wheeled push cart. And what that is, you can see it's got 3 wheels. It's got a 16-inch BMX front wheel and fork on it, and there's a 40-pound dumbbell. That crazy contraption is something that I built about 4 years ago to help me when I want to get out and walk and it's windy or whatever. It gives me a little bit of resistance and stability with that 40-pound dumbbell on there, and keeps me from feeling like I'm going to fall on my ass. Although I do have to clarify when I say I built it. I designed the thing and sourced all the components, but a couple of real good friends of mine, Doyle Westbrook and Jimmy Allison, actually helped me build it. We got together in Doyle's garage, and I did most of the welding sitting in a chair. It wasn't too bad. Those guys did all the cutting, and I did some of the grinding, and we, basically we just teamed up, the three of us, and we got the thing all built. And it's been a real good thing for me to have. the problem is, and this gets into a little bit of what my capabilities have become at this point, 9 years after my injury, is that even though I have a lot less pain than I did early on, for sure, and my sensation is a lot better, even more so than it was even a couple of years ago, and my strength in a lot of ways is better. The problem is that my nervous system is so confused by all the competing sensations that it makes my muscles want to seize up, in particular when I have temperature changes. So when I go outside like I am now, for example, and I have a strong breeze on my gross white legs, it's much harder for me to walk. And so this little push cart thing is a huge benefit. But I don't want to get too much into that right now. I want to just get out and do some riding. You can see I have wide open countryside to go and check out. So I'll see you out on the road here in a few minutes. Okay, so I have no idea if this will work or not because it is pretty breezy. And I don't know if there will be any good sound quality, but
12 minutes completed. You've covered 1,899 yards.
That's my lovely GPS assistant encouraging me and informing me of my progress. Anyway, I'm about a mile, just a little over a mile from my house, and just kind of cruising along. Today's not really about pushing myself, just really more about getting in some seat time, if you want to call it that, and getting some sunshine. And I do tend to try to work harder, do a harder workout at the beginning of the week, and today's Saturday. Should have worked out yesterday, but honestly I was just too tired. So anyway, here's a little bit of a view of what my ride looks like. I am, as you can see, just cruising along at a relatively sedate pace. And here we go. The dirt road that I live on turns to pavement down here because that, which you may be able to see right there, is a dairy that's got, I don't know, it's got several thousand cows. This whole area around here where I live is covered with dairies. There are probably 25,000 cows within a 5-mile radius of my house, and it's been great for local industry, but bad for the water table. The Ogallala Aquifer is being sucked dry, and unfortunately these guys are a big part of it. When I turn around, I'll show you part of why. But anyway, that's a dairy, and this is the interesting direction.
Minutes completed. You've covered 2,212 yards.
Okay, so this is a pretty decent place to turn around. Again, I'm not trying to really kill myself today. I wanted to go for about a 20-25 minute ride, and by the time I get back, that's about where I'll be. So here we go. And now the return trip will be a little better because I've got the wind at my back. And even though I'm pretty low to the ground, you wouldn't believe how much that helps. But it is a very slight uphill rise back to El Rancho Pattison headquarters. And every little bit matters, as I'm sure any of you folks that do serious cycling know. Anyway, maybe what you can see over here to the right is this sprinkler thing. And what that is a gizmo that's about 1/4 of a mile long, and it swings around a center pivot in a circle that is, hey, if you're good at math, you know that that's a 1/2 mile diameter circle, which makes it about 160 acres that it covers. And that thing, when it is growing season for the dairies, because they have to grow all their own feed for the most part, and what they do is they grow this stuff called millet, which basically is kind of like bamboo. It's this really tall grass. It grows like 6 or 7 feet tall, and they harvest it with these things called choppers that are pretty amazing. They're like giant lawnmowers, and they spit the chopped silage, which is what they call it, into the back of semi-trucks that drive alongside while they're chopping. And it's just a continuous process. The choppers stay running constantly.
16 minutes completed. You've covered 2,533 yards.
Yes, thank you, GPS assistant. Anyway, I'll slow down for a second here. Anyway, so the choppers are running constantly, and the trucks just drive alongside until they're full, and then they pull away and go to where they dump the stuff off. And it's pretty fascinating. The silage just comes spewing out the back of the chopper like it's coming out of a fire hose. But anyway, the important point that I wanted to make is that about water. This is what it takes to make the milk that we drink. That thing right there runs 24/7 when they are in growing season, which is for 6 or 8 months out of the year, because if under the right conditions, they'll do two plantings of silage. So 24/7, and it takes about 1,000 gallons a minute to run that sprinkler. So there you go, there's some math. 24 hours a day for 6 months, 1,000 gallons a minute. That's a lot of water. But that's what it takes for us to have milk and cookies. Okay, so I'm back. That was about a 28-minute ride at a relatively slow pace. So that ended up being about 2.6 miles. Some people ask me how far I go, what my heart rate gets up to, whatever. It's not really about the distance for me at all. And I think this is really true for anybody who works out a lot. You know, if that's, you should know this already. If athletic activity is a significant part of your life, it's really about the output and the intensity of what you're doing while you're doing it. That's really the most important thing. So I don't even worry about distance so much unless I'm specifically trying to make, you know, like the 3.2 miles to test my time, so that, because that's kind of practice for doing that 5K that I do once a year. Which last weekend, by the way, I did do pretty good. The conditions were terrible. It meant, you know, getting over to that thing means getting up at 4 a.m. basically, because I lose an hour driving from New Mexico over the Texas state line. And it was like 60 degrees, maybe 65, and very windy. And that's enough to totally jack me over. Plus, I forgot my sunglasses. We had to stop and buy some on the way. But I ended up setting a pretty decent time. I ended up beating all the runners, and I thought initially that it was my best time ever, because I did 18 minutes right at, just a little over. But then I discovered when I went back and compared it to my past events, that for some reason this year the course was shortened. So it screwed everything up. So, I feel like I did pretty good, especially considering that at one point, because my shifters are not properly adjusted yet, my chain came completely off the chain ring. Fortunately, it jumped back on and I was able to keep going. But all things considered, I felt really good about the way things went. It wasn't the total victory that I felt like it was initially, but that's okay, because there's always next year. Anyway, my mouth is super dry right now. It's time to go inside and take a nap. Okay, so there you go. Along for a little bit of a ride. I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of the kinds of efforts that I go to try and rebuild my strength after this injury, and hopefully this thing in Panama will help me even more with that. As always, I really appreciate you guys that have decided to attach yourselves to this project, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thank you. Much love.